We moved to West Texas 40 years ago, worked in the oil business, and then started my own. And in time, we had 6 children, moved from the shotgun to a duplex apartment to a house, and lived the dream. People don't see their own experience as symbolic of an era, but of course we were.
People talk a lot about the greatest generation, the men and women who came of age in World War II, who won the Great War, and then went on to build the post-war America. And I think George H.W. Bush is actually the personification of that greatest generation. I think when you see him and you see him pass away, you're seeing really a whole period of American history pass away.
Some see leadership as high drama and the sound of trumpets calling. And sometimes it is that. But I see history as a book with many pages, and each day we fill a page with acts of hopefulness and meaning.
His 4 years as president really mark an inflection point in world history. He oversees the end of the Soviet Union and the peaceful unification of Germany, which people take for granted now, but which was no small accomplishment and hardly assured. He oversees the successful prosecution of the first Persian Gulf War and drives Iraq out of Kuwait. He oversees some domestic things like the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Every man, woman, and child with a disability can now pass through once closed doors into a bright new era of equality, independence, and freedom. This is crack cocaine.
He helps push along the war on drugs, in part by going down to Panama and grabbing Manuel Noriega, who was the leader of Panama then. And he tries to keep the political picture in Washington civil and bipartisan and at least cordial on the surface. And I think he succeeded in all those things. What people think about George H.W. Bush is this, that he was the most decent person that they ever covered, that they ever knew in the White House. There was a thing about the Bush White House and the Bush presidency and the Bush family that was just courteous, cordial, respectful, and he was well liked by people on both sides of the aisle, even people who disagreed with him. And that is a harder and harder thing to say about folks in Washington.
The Congress will push me to raise taxes and I'll say no. And they'll push and I'll say no, and they'll push again and I'll say to them, read my lips, no new taxes. I wish I'd never said read my lips, no more taxes, because I shot a lot of credibility. People say, hey, he said he wasn't going to do it and he did it. The tax increase did not have that kind of an adverse effect on the economy. But it had a huge effect on my political fortunes.
It opened the door to a primary challenge from Patrick Buchanan. It may have even helped produce the Ross Perot third-party candidacy, which was the thing that really, I think, undermined his re-election bid. So you put the weak economy problem together with the he reversed field on the read my lips, no new taxes problem, and you had a campaign for re-election that failed.
And we have fought the good fight, and we've kept the faith, and I believe I have upheld the honor of the presidency of the United States.
If you look at George H.W. Bush in his post-presidency, what people saw then is what a lot of people saw earlier in his career as well, which was there was a kind of a grace to him and to the way he conducted himself. And that's what I think made him popular in his post-presidency, that he accepted his loss gracefully. He was helpful to his successor. He didn't engage in any recriminations or backbiting or second-guessing. And that, I think, was the story of his life in many ways, but it was certainly the story of his post-presidency. And I think people came to appreciate that, and I think came to appreciate him more in retrospect than they did at the time. And this happens sometimes with great leaders. And I think he was will go down in history as a great leader, in part because of the way he conducted himself in office, but also because of the way he conducted himself just as an American citizen and as an American symbol.